I am not teaching, I am publicly learning. But hi and welcome to Learning for the Life in the UK test, part 568, while doing martial arts basic training. And if you participate in the martial arts basic training, that is at your own risk. Just for 5 little exercises in the second part of the video. Now here in the beginning, in the first part of the video, we want to say down in one presentation, recorded on the second camera, what we learned about films, movies, films, television, radio, and theatre. Films, television, radio, and theatre. Films, television, radio, and theatre. One down in one presentation. So the satire part, and then I want to change to the theatres. That's where Gilbert and Sullivan writing comic operas. And then London's West End, Dame Agatha Christie. Then the films, 1896. What do we want to say? Also the films, just 1896, in which we serve Second World War, and Harry Potter and James Bond franchise. I think that's all what we want to say to the films. And the comedies, Passport to Pimlico, Lady Killers, and Carry On films. Maybe the actors. Sir Lawrence Oliver, David Even, Sir Rex Harrison, and Richard Burton. And Oscar winning are there also. Sir Anthony Hopkins, Colin Firth, Judi Dench, Catherine Zeta-Swinton. When we're going on with the theatres at some point, we're going to say to the theatres that there are the pantomime at Christmas, and that there is, for example, Baron and Lloyd Webber doing Jesus Christ Superstar, Evita, Cats, and Phantom of the Opera. And when you're going to go to the television after that, to more to the television, the sitcoms. No, okay, let's just start it. I see it a bit, it's a little joke also, because it's so much back and forth. 4, 5, we did them all separately, but now we're doing them together. And to go more or less chronologically and also not. So, yeah, I have a second camera, so I'm going to talk to it. Films, television, radio, and theatre in Britain. So already during the medieval times, there were jesters. And these jesters, which were there, they were making jokes, for example. They were telling jokes, and they also made fun of people. And that happened oftentimes at the royal court. So for the nobility and the monarch. And William Shakespeare, he included in some of his works comic persons. William Shakespeare, he wrote oftentimes about, it doesn't really make sense to say that now. Why should I know why I say it, because we're talking about the development of presentational art. That's why we're now going to say that he wrote about kings and queens, oftentimes dramatized, but also about ordinary people. That's why we're saying that. Films, television, radio, and theatre in Britain. So already during the medieval times there were jesters. And these jesters, they were telling jokes and they were making fun, and that oftentimes at the royal court, so to the nobility and to the monarch. Then there was William Shakespeare. And William Shakespeare, he had oftentimes in his works comic characters included. He wrote about royal things, sometimes dramatized, oftentimes fictionalized, and he also wrote about ordinary men and women. And in his works there were sometimes comic persons. Then in the 18th century, first satire developed, and there were people attacking, making fun of politicians, and also of the monarch or the royal family. Then in the 1840s there was a magazine, a satire magazine called The Punch, and that was doing that. Business-like. And today there's still another one, and that is, I'm thinking always Bullseye. Private Eye. Films, television, radio, and theatre in Britain. During the medieval times there were jesters, and these jesters were at the royal court to the nobility and the monarch, telling jokes and also making fun of people. They were a source of amusement. Then there was William Shakespeare. And William Shakespeare, he did write about royal things, about kings and queens, but also about ordinary men and women. Sometimes he dramatized, fictionalized, but the important part, he included sometimes in his works comic characters. Then in the 18th century, satire developed and it became popular to attack, make fun of politicians and also of the royal family of monarch. In the 1840s, there was then the satire magazine The Punch, and that was doing that business-like. And Private Eye is a satire magazine existing today. Now, during the 19th century, there were Gilbert and Sullivan, and they were writing comic operas. And these were, for example, HMS Pinafore, or the Mikado, or the Pirates of Penzance. And in London, there's an area called West End, and that area, London's West End, is sometimes referred to the Theatreland. And in this Theatreland, there's, for example, running The Mousetrap, written by Dame Agatha Christie. And that is the show which has the longest run since its initial start. Now, other things happened also. For example, movies became popular. In 1896, the first movies were shown publicly, and they became popular. And movies were shot. And for example, in the 1940s, there was a shot In Which We Serve, which was to boost the morale to the British people who had to face the hardships of the Second World War. Then, in the 50s and 60s, there were comic movies done. For example, comedy movies, the Carry On movies, or other movies were done. For example, The Lady Killers. And there were some people like Morecambe or Weiser, and I don't know, who was it? Wise, just Wise. Morecambe and Wise. Now, who was it? Passport to Pimlico, The Lady Killers and the Carry On films. We have time for one more try, and then we'll try it in the next part again. Morecambe and Wise. Films, television, radio, and theatre in Britain. Already during the medieval times, there were jesters, and at the royal court, to the nobility and the monarch, they were telling jokes or making fun of people to the amusement of the people. Then there was William Shakespeare, and William Shakespeare was writing about kings and queens, but also about ordinary men and women, and he sometimes dramatized if he was writing about more or less real events. And in his works, he included comic characters. Then in the 18th century, it became popular to attack, to make fun of politicians and also of the royal family and the monarch. In the 1840s, there was the magazine, the satire magazine, The Punch. Bullseye. It's thinking Bullseye. So The Punch. It's just The Punch. No, anyway, that was the next try. Let's go on how it would go on after that. There were Morecambe and Wise, and they were working in theatres and variety theatres, called in British music halls, and they were called variety theatres. But when television became the main source of entertainment, and they changed over, and we were doing comic operas. In 1560, we were also done Passport to Pimlico, The Lady Killers, or the Carry On movies. And in the television, when sitcoms developed, situation comedies, making fun or being set in the families and in the workplace. And then there was, for example, that was a Wicked Wars in the 60s, Spitting Image in the 70s and 80s, and Monty Python since 1969 in the 80s and 90s, Spitting Image. And also television developed further on. There in the television are many things shown on a variety of programs. There are programs in Welsh and in Irish Gaelic and in Gaelic in the different regions. And for example, also movies, and there are British actors like Richard Burton or Sir Rex Harrison or Sir David Neal or Sir Lawrence Oliver, and also the Oscar winners, the equivalent to the Oscars, and they can run there in the television, and the biggest one is the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, and they have also radio, and there are different radios, also other types of television and radios exist, and there are different radios for different towns and cities, and also music and different genres are playing in these different ones. Now, if you're here for another try, you can go directly to the next video. We will do now the martial arts basic training. If you participated in that, let's sit here on this. We're doing the winging mushroom. One leg up and point the foot and bring it up and down, up and down, up. The other leg. And the foot up and down. And the next exercise, I couldn't sure which is this. It could be, no, I know, we're doing that one. The leg. And we want to stretch the quads. So I have another position this way. and the other leg. And now with side stretching. The toes are pointing forward, and we're having a stretch on the inside of the leg. Now to the other side. Toes are pointing forward and stretch on the inside of the leg. And now we're going from side to side. One side, other side. And a few more. And now we're doing lunges. We're going in front and down and back again. The other leg, front and back and again. And a few more. Last two. And now our exercise. One leg up and bring it to the outside. Up and to the outside, make 3 steps, and the other one. 1, 2, 3, and the other. 1, 2, 3, and the other leg. And the last two. And now stretch kicks. So we bring one arm out and then we're kicking against it. Be warmed up as we did, hopefully. And the other one. And again. 1, 2, 3 steps. Doesn't have to be 3. And the other one. So, arm out and kick against it. And we're doing it 4 more. And the last 2. And next exercise. Leg up to the outside. In and back. So to the outside, in and the out. And the last 2, so both legs. And now the same just with long legs. Long leg to the outside, to the inside, crash kicks. Back. And last times with both legs. And already the last exercise. We are bringing one leg up and bring it to the other side. Stepping back, 3 steps again, so up, side. Up, again up. Swing it and over. And last 2 times. And now we're stretching. Bring one leg up, just a mushroom, just up. Now the other leg. And now the heel onto the ground, and we're putting the toes up. And I bring the leg a bit to the left and pull still up. To the right, pull still up. Again to the left, pull up. The right and pull up. And the middle and pull up. And the other leg. With the heel onto the ground, pull a bit up. Go over to the side and pull up. To the other side and pull up. Over, pull up. Over, pull up. And over the middle and pull up. And that was the martial arts basic training. I thank you very much, and until next time.